Land. Hi to everybody here in VR. I'm going to ring the bell. Let's make our way in. So I just invite every person to take a deep breath and imagine that you're truly entering a special place. You're entering a state of mind ready to uplift and transform yourself. You're entering a place to strengthen your greatest peace and wisdom. To give that awesomeness inside of you the attention that it deserves. To practice that brilliance inside of you. To connect with others who help uplift you. To be strong, to be funny, to be happy. So we're just going to start our session with our intention setting. So I'd like us all to think about the beauty of practicing peace, happiness, kindness, and mindfulness. How amazing, it's so simple, but also so amazing that in your day-to-day, you can just stop how you're reacting to things and choose how you want to be. And I just want you to set that intention to see yourself being awesome at that. That you get to make great days for yourself. That you get to choose the habits that you want to practice. That you get to mentally practice the emotions and the mindsets for you to be as awesome as you can imagine. Let's also set the intention. Imagine a world where everybody did that. You know, so many people are just like caught up in their own dramas. Imagine if everyone just stopped and we just helped each other happy, peaceful, caring, and awesome. Let's dedicate the time that we spend now for you to be as amazing as possible. Not just for yourself, but so that it rubs off on everybody around you. That it's part of how you talk and your conversations go out to impact others. I mean, think about the world. There's a lot going on, and if we can help bring more peace in the world or more kindness, every little bit that we do helps. And I hope you could imagine yourself being awesomely better, to not just do a little bit, but to be as creative and as inspired, to bring as much peace and happiness and awesomeness as you can imagine. So let's just begin with a meditation. I invite everybody to close their eyes and think about that intention setting and whichever things stood out to you. And invite you to just to focus on your breath. You're going to let your thoughts and your mind calm down and just let yourself feel the freedom, the strength, the positivity, the inspiration. So each breath you take, just focusing on the soothing feeling of the breath, and at the same time holding in the back of your mind those positive intentions to let them grow and become powerful. I could be saying a lot to catch your attention and draw it into beautiful states of mind. But I invite you to guide yourself into that. Each breath you take, fill your awareness with peace, calm. And as we just breathe, for those of you who just arrived, or for those of you who are bringing your mind back into the meditation, just really watching your attention on the breath, making each breath feel as soothing, as peaceful, as wise as you could imagine. Maybe you'd like to imagine if someone was guiding the most amazing meditation in the history of the universe, what your attention would feel like, how your focus would be, what each moment would be like. And then you can remember when we set our intention for you to be as empowered, as wise, as happy as possible, for you being an enlightening influence on the people around you. Just hold your attention on the most awesome positive intention you can imagine. And we'll take 10 deep breaths to just feel that, imagine that. And then we can take a few energizing, invigorating breaths. Just bringing yourself back into the temple, enjoying whatever state of mind you just cultivated. Remembering any nice insights or ideas that came to you in your meditation. All right, so welcome everybody, those of you here in the temple and those of you out on the live stream. It's great to have you all here. People on the live stream, if you have any questions, I'll be trying to check the chats to see whatever it is you have to share or ask. And for those of you who are here, this session is for you. So I want you to ask whatever will help you most. If I'm saying something and you want to clarify it, or you want to, or it doesn't sound right and you want to like push back and say, hey, well, how does that work? Or I really want to make you walk away from this session with awesome brain skills, emotional skills that'll make you more awesome. So please make the most of this time for you. The more you engage, the better it is for everybody.
May I talk?
Please, hey.
I just want to thank Creek. He has changed my life so much throughout the months. I am actually here because of him. He's the one who taught me how to meditate. And if you get a chance, I just want you to tell him that Jinx is doing good. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good to hear. I'll try to pass that on.
I have to eat pizza. I'm very sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.
What is this about?
So yeah, Creek was a regular at these sessions, and then after many months, he started guiding the Wednesday night classes. So I'm really glad that he was able to help you. I hope you get a chance to come to some of my classes more often as well. All right. I guess I could just start by opening it up to everybody who's here. Does anyone have any questions about meditation or life or mental training? Marlies on the live chat has just said, hi, everyone. So there we go. Opened up. Anybody? Emerald?
So for beginning meditation practice, how much time is enough time per day?
That's a great question. Enough time is it's not so well defined. Some teachers would say 1 minute. Commit to that every day, and when that's easy, level it up to 2. And when that's easy, level it up to 3. I think I started with just a couple minutes a day. And within a few days, I wanted to do more. And a few days later, I wanted to do more. So that's great. There's also different kinds of meditation. You can let yourself relax and create a nice feeling in a minute or 2. And if you do that each day, you'll have more peace and positive feelings in your life. You can do a kindness meditation. It's definitely good to have a guided 20-minute or hour kindness meditation to really go wildly deep in it. But once you've felt that, if you do 5 minutes a day, you'll have more kindness just flowing through you throughout your day. Breathing meditation, which I'm guessing is perhaps what you were thinking about when you asked, to watch the mind and focus the mind and learn how to let go of anything and just be back into being present and conscious. That's how I started, and I started with the 3 minutes a day, doing 1 minute more each time I felt like it. I've read that if they do MRI brain scans, they find if people do 8 minutes a day, they can see progressive improvements. But just recently, I read some rebuttals to that study. So I also am sure that some people do that breathing meditation and they sit excited about transforming their mind in a way that's not attached to any outcome. They're just, wow. And I'm sure they get wild results very quickly. And I know people who've sat in it for a long time, and perhaps their teacher said, your mind's like a wild monkey and just sit and maybe eventually it'll calm down in 8 lifetimes. They probably should be doing about 50 hours a day. So, yeah, how much is enough? I think it really would depend on like your goal and your practice. But the one answer I really want to say is an amount that you are excited to stick to each day. And then as soon as that feels good, level it up by a minute or two.
Okay. Thank you.
That was quite a broad answer, hoping to reach whatever people are into. Is there anything you would like to ask about your particular practice?
Well, I guess also, I mean, the goal of mindfulness, the way I think of it, is to be able to do it off the mat as well, to be able to do it during your day. Otherwise, it's not only semi-useful just doing it on the mat. I mean, I've come in with a question before for clarity at the beginning, hoping to clear something up, and that seems to work. But I guess also some suggestions on how to blend it into your day instead of just being on the mat with it would be great.
That's a great question. So while you're doing the breathing meditation, all of your focus should be on every moment of the breath. It's like when you're lifting weights, all your focus is just purely on this technique right now. But for lifting weights, like functional strength, playing other strong games and learning to balance and do yoga, that brings that strength into all other parts of your life. And it's similar with mental training. While you're doing breathing meditation, I would be completely focused on each moment of awareness. But you can also complement that by, before or afterwards, spend a minute imagining if you were mindful all day long. Practice what it would be like to just be empowered with each breath when you're walking, when you're at work or school. Practice what it'd be like to bring your best self into the conversations that you have. And make it specific. Like, what are things that trigger me? Okay, I'm going to retrain how I react to that. Or, who's someone I'm going to talk to today? Or that I talk to every day or every week? I'm going to practice being amazing in my conversation with them. And just mentally rehearse. What's it like to step into your awesome, bring your awesome into it? If you do that before you sit to meditate, then you'll have it kind of in the back of your mind. So while you're breathing, your subconscious will be like, yeah, awesome. I'm actually learning that when I bring my mind back here, it's the same thing as when something bugged me. I step back into being powerful. But if you do it after the meditation, you're in this like powerful, peaceful state of mind. So then the things you practice are like, wow, I can feel it way more wildly. So perhaps you might like to do it before and after, or perhaps you can explore, spend a minute or two before, a minute or two afterwards, and see which one feels better for you.
Okay, thank you. That helps.
You're welcome. They were great questions. If anyone else has any other similar kind of questions, that sounds like a good topic for today. How do we train ourselves? How do we bring our practice to our life? What are some tips for how we meditate or how we practice? Jonas, what's on your mind?
Oh, just hearing. I'm sorry, I'm not really keeping up with the conversation. Something happening in the background. No.
I'm sorry, but your audio was breaking up a lot, so I couldn't hear you clearly.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. Well, there's something going on in the background at my house right now, so I cannot really keep on with the conversation.
So whatever you
Sorry if
just
I
did with
cannot
your microphone
add up
made it
to it.
so much better. And as for the conversation with the things in the background, I hope that whatever positive ideas we put out, they just dance through your mind, inspire your feelings and your creativity. So actually that is something I'd like to talk about. If you notice that just then I wished for these ideas to be positive. Now imagine in Jonas's mind now, he paid attention to that sentence, definitely, because we were talking with each other. And so the other things we were saying, he could sort of pay attention to, and there's other things happening. So some parts of his mind were paying attention, some parts of his mind doing other things. But just then while we were talking, and I said, hey, I hope that any of these positive ideas will dance through your mind and make you feel good and inspire you. His brain had to be able to understand the sentence I said, his brain had to imagine positive ideas dancing in his mind and feeling good. And that strengthens his neural pathways that will hear these ideas and make them bigger. So even if there's other stuff going on, some part of his mind is now more ready to be positive and inspired. So you may notice that I try to describe things in a way that's empowering in the class. But I really want to encourage all of you to try and do the same thing with yourself. When you talk to yourself about how your thoughts or your feelings work, describe it in a way that feels fun, that's empowered, that's positive. If there's different parts of you, one part of you wants something, one part of you wants another thing, imagine all of the parts of you working together to get the best results. Talk to yourself in a way that, hey, my mind is my best friend. My feelings are my best friends. Every part of me just keeps getting better. The more you say these positive things to yourself, the more your mind practices being like that. So I hope now that I've said it, you'll also notice me intentionally crafting my sentences in a way that's empowering to you. And I hope you also will notice how you talk to others, and you'll shape your words to others to uplift them, empower them, to make things easier for them. All right. Does someone else have something they'd like to ask or share? Emerald?
I keep asking questions, hope that's okay.
Do it. Yeah, as
So,
many as you've got, bring it.
a question for you. Okay, it's a two-part. Do you consider yourself an experienced meditator, first of all? And second of all, when you meditate, um, how often do thoughts come and you identify them and let them go? Has that slowed down with more practice? Because I know for me, some days the thoughts are coming like crazy fast, and some days it's better. But as you meditate more, does that process change? Does it look different in your mind? Do the thoughts slow down and not come in so fast, I guess?
Again, they're great questions. So, an experienced meditator. I've been meditating for 26 years.
Wow.
So I guess that's experience. There was chapters of my life where I would meditate for 4 hours a day and lived in monasteries and went to as many different teachers as I could get my hands on. And so yes, I think I've definitely got some experience with meditation. Now, as for your second question, the first thing that comes to mind when you said identify them and let them go, the times that I have had the best result is I skip the identifying step. My attention tries to come back as instantly as possible to focusing on the breath. Identifying, noticing what's happening in my subconscious, it tends to just happen automatically. If I put my attention here, I'm learning to just let go of things faster and faster and faster, more and more immediately. And the more I do that, the way I like to describe it is at first my mind would wander and I'd be in a sentence and I'd notice and I'd be like, okay, come back to my breath. Let me just get the camera onto me. And then another sentence would come and I'd think it and I'd notice and I'd finish the sentence and then I'd come back to my breath, be there for a while. And then my mind would wander and a minute later, whoa, I've like lost track of being aware. I'm aware now, let's concentrate again. Back to my breath. Okay, here's a sentence. Come back to my breath. And then I got to a point where I would notice the sentence and I'd try and stop mid-sentence. Just, what's it like to come back? And so like a word or two later, my brain would be able to steer back to the breathing. And then I got to a point where I could even, at the end of this word, I'll be back. Then I got to the point where halfway through the word, like the moment I noticed it, just back to hearing the breath. Then I'd get to the point where I would notice much faster, like earlier in the sentence, I'd notice it. Then I get to a point where I would notice my mind putting together a thought. I hadn't even started thinking it yet. So I noticed that inner activity happening. And I just go back into the stillness. And when I was meditating a lot, after I got to that point, I could then have very long times in just stillness. And yes, you can still be noticing your consciousness and more fine-grained awareness of how the feelings and concepts move through your consciousness. But the thoughts would be gone for a long time. And the stillness is beautiful. The peace that you get to practice is profound. Even those little subtle things, you try to just let them go and go back into pure consciousness. And you just keep refining more and more and more. So yeah, I've had hours in stillness at a time, like each time. But
Wow.
26 years, I've got kids now. I was traveling for many years and some chapters didn't have the space to meditate for hours. So there's times where I meditate less. And then I'll sit to meditate and the thoughts are coming lots, not like when I first started, but still a lot faster compared to hours of stillness. And there was one time where a chapter of my life had really made my meditation practice not as good. And when I tried to like really settle back to it, I was like, dang, I lost it. And it took me a while to notice that I was making this comparison and having this expectation was causing me this upset, which was affecting my motivation to meditate. Once I noticed that, I was like, okay, Okay, no expectation again. Just right now, just like when I started, I'm just being present. This moment's all that matters. And once I snap back into just doing that, just right now, just practice this moment, then I found it just got better and better again. I also want to say some chapters of my life when I've been in that deep, still time, there was still some days that my mind was just really wildly active. I remember I was in the center of Adelaide in a meditation hall, and it was a 1 or 2 hour sit. And my mind was as active then as it had been when I first started meditating. The whole 2 hours, I was like trying to watch it, trying to stop it, and it was just active. But then, as soon as we left the meditation hall and I walked down the street and turned the corner, I just had this profound wave of peace come across me. And for the next couple of hours, I was just like, wow. And one monk described it to me, if your mind is like a farm or a field, there are different seasons in the field. There are times when you get to harvest and just enjoy all the delicious fruits and vegetables. But there's other times where you have to till the fields. You have to go and dig out the rocks, throw the rocks away, make the soil ready to plant new things. So every meditation, every moment you're meditating is awesome. You're cultivating. Doesn't really matter how still your mind is. The fact that you're being present, learning to be more conscious, with an intention of positivity or awesomeness or enlightenment, that's amazing. So just cherish every moment you have of that.
Thank you so much. That's a great explanation.
You're welcome. I enjoyed telling that story. If you remember, before you asked your question, I was talking about my positive suggestion to Jonas that the ideas will dance through his mind and feel good. If you look closely at how different schools describe mindfulness meditation, even though you're just sitting on the breath, the way they describe it can be wildly different. Like some schools will say your mind's like a wild monkey and you're just hoping that it gets a little less wild. And they're still just breathing, but the premise they have is blah, blah, blah. And then other schools will say that you'll see lights of love and happiness inside yourself. And sitting with those people, you see after a little while, some of them start blissing out and laughing, and then the whole group catches that contagiously. When it comes to more refined watching the consciousness, some groups will describe it as you see the thought and you watch it go by and you come back to the breath. I encouraged the approach that, hey, every single moment on the breath, as soon as I notice something else, I'm just learning to come back to the breath as instantly as possible. That subtle change in how you describe it, I've seen gets wildly different results. So whenever you're reading about meditation practice or learning about it from different people, watch how they describe it and imagine, hey, we could do anything with our mind. So try and take the best descriptions you can get from anywhere, the most empowering way of thinking about your own mind. Practice the most conscious, most positive, most empowered perspectives that you can find. And if there's ever a way I describe something and you think you've got a way that's more empowered, please tell me. You might have a way that a different school says is true. You can tell me if you want, but I really want to hear it if you think, actually, this way they describe it is faster, is stronger, is more empowering to the consciousness. like I said, I've been to a lot of different schools. Some of those schools, when I wasn't as careful, their way of thinking about the mind actually unempowered mine. And I had to like notice it, come back to being as empowered as I can be. So I encourage you, whenever you're learning meditation or even learning culture, learning from people, just keep watching. Which way of being, which way of feeling, which way of thinking about myself is as awesome as I can. And if there's an idea that's less awesome, be careful to reframe in a way that's more helpful. For example, if you're around someone who says your mind's like a wild monkey, you could say, okay, so they're saying that, but I'm thinking my mind goes wherever I focus it. And that's awesome. So you kind of reframe for yourself what's great. Or if you're hanging out with some people and they're like, life sucks, so I'm sad. You're like, well, I'm filled with compassion. I'm choosing to practice happiness and love and kindness so that I'll have more of that to give them. So like whatever you're around, if it's awesome, soak it up. And if it's less than awesome, reframe it as an awesome version for you. All right, so I'm seeing some love hearts, some hands over this side of the room. Do one of you have something you wanted to say, or you're just celebrating what I was saying? Mr. Decat or Tazimo?
I love you. Thank you for being a great mentor and a supportive friend.
Thanks. So nice of you to say. Yeah, sorry, I'm you knocked all the words out of me. Actually, one thing I think about is that over the year and a bit that we've been doing these classes, we've had a lot of people say that these classes have wildly changed their life. And my vision was that this community would grow and grow, and we'd have more people leveling up to more enlightenment, and we'd have more people who've had transformative experiences sharing, so that people who are new would just get to like see how positive we can create our minds. And sometimes I wonder where people have gone when the sessions have been so good to them. So for those of you who've been coming regularly, like I cherish that you're here, and I hope we can find a way to keep coming. And also people that you may have seen a long time ago that came a lot and then stopped, if there's a way we can reach out to them and invite them to keep coming, or tell us how we could make this better for all of us. That's probably been the main thing I've been thinking about for this community. How do we really like make it gel so that it's something that we just can't miss. We have to be here because there's so many people we love, and so many times we've shared that have inspired and transformed each other. I mean, ultimately, my goal is that we won't just have these sessions. I would like us to make movies and video games to enlighten the planet. Like as a team, we just create awesome stuff to reach as many people in the world as possible. So, for any of you that's on the Discord or have friends attend, please help me figure out or invite them, just to make it so that we keep growing as a community. Emerald?
Question. So, I live in kind of a northern place, and I don't have a sangha. I guess that's how you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
Would meeting here suffice for that? I mean, practicing meditation, yes, but as for a group to meet with, I don't have that. So would this work in that respect?
For me, this is my sangha, so I would say yes.
I can answer that question.
Sure.
There aren't just like weekly meditation classes. People occasionally come here just to hang out and meditate whenever they feel like it. So if you ever want to do that, send a notification out into the Discord chat. You're more than welcome to.
Oh, that's great.
Emerald, are you in our Discord chat?
I got a notification that you were starting. Does that mean I'm in?
Yes, I put it in two places. So you are either in, if you ping me where you saw the notification afterwards, I'll make sure you're in the right group, because there's
Okay,
now
thank you.
there's two Shoshin groups, and yeah, anytime you'd like to discuss meditation or positive living, please jump in there and ask. Like the more we infuse enlightenment and focus on awesome as a community, the better. Anytime you want to come in here, and we have a bunch of teachers now, so you could say, I'm up for a meditation. Maybe one of our teachers would be ready to jump in, or maybe just as a community, you just come and join. And Popcorn, was it you that was posting the idea to come in and watch some live streams from some of our past classes?
Yeah. I wanted to see. I was curious to see if you had lectures yourself that you had posted, like maybe that we could watch. And then I kind of got sleepy that day, and I don't think anyone had responded to me until a few hours later.
So here you can click video player and you can put in the URL, and every class that I've done apart from the first few is up on my YouTube channel, and many of the other classes are also in the recordings channel on the Discord. So yeah, that'd be awesome to know that you guys are doing that. So yeah, Emerald Eyes, you could also just do that anytime. Grab
Question?
one. Is it a cat?
What's the Discord called?
The name is Shoshin, but there are two Shoshin groups. So, the one that let me just change the logo. It looks like the video player is over the top. Ah, there we go. So the one that's got this icon, the Shoshin, one. Oh wait, is the Discord called Shambokakaya? It might also be called this, Sambokakaya. But just outside there's a poster at the temple entrance. And on that is a QR code and a URL that will open the Discord. We also have like a short one, which I think is like bit.ly/Sangha, but I'd need to check exactly what that is.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, actually before we head out, if you wanted to search on Discord or check the poster, and if you can't get in, it's like make sure you find it before we leave. Happy to help you to do that. Thanks for asking. All right. So as for the question about does a VR group count as a Sangha? For me, the answer is definitely. I feel having a conversation with you right now, even if we never met in real life, if we came here and meditated a lot and discussed meditation, I would feel like that's a friendship and that we're two minds fully engaging. And if we're learning about meditation or about living well, to me that completely qualifies as Sangha.
I just tested out the bit.ly URL that you mentioned, and it happens to point towards the schedule.
Oh, okay. So then the one that goes to the Discord group, I'll look it up before we finish today. Oh no, my computer's in the other room. I think it's maybe bit.ly/VR Sangha that takes to the Discord. Cool. We'll make sure we get that link before we finish. It also makes me think that I hope as a community we can learn how to make changes to this space a little more, so that finding the Discord's a little easier. And we still have the Friday on the schedule, even though it doesn't really happen anymore. So yeah, as a team that meditates together, we also have some great animators in the community and some great world creators. So yeah, it's something that we're just going to keep getting better at. How do we make this more accessible, more awesome, and more easy and inspiring for everyone? Popcorn, is that a question?
No, this is just me playing with my fingers.
Awesome. That makes me think about one thing I've noticed sometimes with meditation. There's many different kinds of meditation: laughter meditation, kindness meditation. But breathing meditation is often heading towards deeper stillness. Like the activity, the words of the mind calm down, and you're just more in just the presence of breathing and the presence of being conscious. And I've noticed for myself, if I also decide for my body to be still, that's a part of the stillness. So if I get the urge to scratch, if I can notice that before I do it and just decide to be still, or if I feel a sensation in my body and I decide to powerfully feel my breath instead, mastering my body was also very helpful to mastering my mind. So trying to keep my body perfectly still as well as my attention and my focus. So hopefully will help in your meditations from time to time. But then the flip side of that, while I'm doing that in meditation, is great. I also want to practice being more expressive when I'm talking or in social circumstances, how to actually really engage so that people can feel my mind and that I get to emphasize when something's important. Or sometimes I can even do a little diagram of the pathways in my mind transforming. So yeah, talking with my hands has been a wonderfully helpful thing to practice. It makes me feel more expressive, and people tell me that it makes it more enjoyable so, to listen. So yeah, it's beautiful to watch how practicing different things in different circumstances is so helpful. So stillness when it's required, expressiveness when it's required. Okay, I'm just going to check if anyone's written on the live stream. Oh, hello, Merck's here. Welcome back. It's half an hour ago. I hope you're still here with us. But to expand on the question that somebody asked half an hour ago, what would be an experienced meditator? Yeah, it's a good question. Like, how much meditation is enough? How much experience is enough? Yeah, it's the issue with definitions. It's all relative. If someone was a master meditator, but they'd only ever learned from people in one lineage and only ever thought about it from that perspective, perhaps someone who's gone and learnt from 50 different lineages but not meditated as much might be considered more experienced. It's really, they're all just different things. So sorry I didn't see your comment until now, hello Merc, but it's good to have you here with us. All right, does anyone else have a question or a comment? Emerald, yes please.
So, Um, I would very much like to incorporate more Buddhist practices into my everyday life, and I'm a little confused as to how to get started.
It's a wonderful question. Would you like to hear how I got started?
I'd love to, thank you.
So, as I mentioned, I started with a couple of minutes of breathing focused meditation every day, and I committed to do that every day, and just when I felt like I wanted to do more, then I would do more. And pretty much every school will encourage you to find some kind of routine. Some people will say set up a special spot, like a cushion or a nicely decorated corner. So you go there and you're like, hey, it's meditation time. I didn't have a special spot, but I did have a routine. I got up and went for a jog. And when I first started my positivity schedule, it was just a couple minutes jog. So I'd run, I'd come back, I'd sit and meditate for a couple of minutes. And for me, the heightened energy in my body, and after I was exercising more, there was also endorphins, and like the blood was pumping and I was more oxygenated. So I just felt fresher and more alive. And to be feeling that alert state and then sit to meditate was some of the best times of meditation in my life. And as I said, I would just add a minute every now and then. So I committed to 3 minutes a day. And a week later, I was committed to 4 minutes a day, and then 5 minutes a day. And then it jumped up to 10. A little while later, it jumped up to 20. But I was doing it every day in a way that was easy to commit to. I was also running a little bit further every day as well. And so that was what I did. I woke up and just jumped straight into exercise. So if that sounds great, I encourage you to think of kinds of exercise that you love. Jump up and do them, and then sit and meditate straight away while your heart's still pumping. If exercise in the morning doesn't appeal to you, I would encourage you to still design how your morning could jump into meditation. I lived in Austria where they wake up and brush their teeth straight away. And so they won't just run out of the house. They got to brush their teeth first. So yeah, if your morning has some other schedule, see where meditation would fit in and just say, hey, that's where I meditate in my morning, and commit to that. So I was exercising and doing mindfulness meditation. I also read a book about training our thoughts and our feelings to transform ourselves into whatever you want. And this isn't particularly a Buddhist thing, depending on the Buddhist you ask. So kindness meditation, depending on who you ask, you're practicing yourself as a kinder person. Some people would say, no, that's not it. Some people you say they're just emanating love. Or some people would say they're just noticing how they want to free others from suffering. But one way of describing it is that you're practicing kindness. You're visualizing yourself as a kinder person. And in some lineages of Buddhism, they'll say the same thing about other things. Practicing being comfortable and confident wherever you go. Practicing being a great artist. Practicing having concentration in your classes or focus in your work. Practicing feeling coordinated. Like you are able to train your mind in basically any area of your life. So I'd get up and I'd go running, and I'd have some index cards that on them said, I feel great in any social circumstance. I have a good time, I care about people and I make them feel cared for, and so they care about me. I have a good time. So I'd run for a couple minutes and just say that to myself and imagine it and feel it. And I'd have between 3 and 10 of these positive thoughts that I'd do on my run, and then I'd sit and meditate. So yeah, there would be a great way to get started. A 5 or 10 minute, possibly 20, 30 minute morning infusion of awesomeness. I, around the same time, also discovered guided hypnosis, just basically guided deep meditations, and I would listen to them as I went to sleep. So I really trained my body to do deep relaxation as I slept, and the recordings had positive suggestions that I would dream about. So listening to them as you go to sleep is also something you can kind of effortlessly add into your life. You just click play and boom, it's an infusion of awesomeness into your sleep schedule and into your dreams. And the positive thoughts that I mentioned, reading the cards, I would try to read them in the afternoon and before I went to bed. So that was another 5 minutes here and 5 minutes at the end of the day. So that would be like my ideal regimen that I'd recommend. And I hope that you either take that on or use that to inspire some version for yourself.
Thank you.
You are more than welcome. I think I want to emphasize the beauty of regularity. You know, I mentioned 3 minutes meditation every day. And then I just wanted to do more and wanted to do more. And it turned into a wonderful practice. And it's similar with positive thinking or other kinds of practices. If we did a beautiful kindness meditation right now, it could impact and transform some of you. Well, it would impact all of us a little. It could wildly impact some of you. But if you do kindness meditation every day, a month in, you'll just be overflowing with infinite love. So choosing something and focusing on it for a month or two, and finding a way that you can commit to it is super helpful. In my regime that I just mentioned to you, I just remembered the book that taught me mindfulness meditation also had kindness meditation in it, and it also had these guided imagery meditations of a lake or a mountain to find peace or unshakableness. So yeah, I did my positive thinking and my breathing meditation. They were an unshakable commitment to my morning. And then the positive thinking 2 more times in the day. But I'd also squeeze in some more meditation. I'd meditate on the bus doing breathing meditation. And if I had a spare moment, actually, no, I had a couple of months where I did compassion meditation every day. So where did I fit that in my schedule? Somehow I found a way to commit to doing that every day as well. I do my breathing meditation and I do kindness meditation. And I think it's very good to have a very solid container. Like now is breathing meditation. Now is compassion meditation. Now is relaxation meditation. So when you're doing breathing focus meditation, you're awake, you're alert, you're empowered. And when you're learning profound relaxation, you're learning to be as wildly relaxed as possible. And they're two separate practices. Does that, as I said all of that, can you see that fitting into your life? I have a feeling like perhaps I said too many things because I was dedicated to be a brain ninja for enlightenment for the world. So I wanted to do all that. If you want to, great, please do that. If you're looking for something that some people would call more manageable, I would focus it on exercise with some positive thoughts in the morning and straight after breathing meditation. that would definitely be the foundation that I would encourage for everybody.
Okay.
I'd love to hear your thoughts, responses to things I said.
My thoughts?
Yeah, it was your question.
Okay, so your answer was really good. Thank you so much. That's the foundation. Now, I do lots of reading, and I guess I'm interested in a Western Buddhist kind of practice. And it just seems to me that the positive thinking, the meditation, whatever, that's just a part of the practice. What else is there that I should be doing?
So compassion meditation is quite central to lots of people's Buddhist practices. Learning about attachment and expectations, and being able to label the things in your life that are attachment or expectations. There are many different tidbits of wisdom that you can learn that can make you more at ease and more empowered in life. I'm going to answer not what's the traditional Buddhist practice. I'm going to answer what I think is best, and then you can fit that into whatever you're thinking. So,
Thank you.
I think you should be training your mind that in every moment you're as empowered as possible. You notice what are programs that you've picked up from your life or society, and you can just always step out of them and be like, hey, what's the most amazing way you could be right now? How strong, how happy, how awesome could I be right now? What are my values? How could I make them better that will make me happier, will make others around me happier, that will make the world a better place? And then in Buddhism, they describe like the Eightfold Path. Make your words honest and good. Make your job positive and helpful. Make your focus always on the way that's going to help the world. Make your effort and your intention, what you put your energy into, uplifting and empowering. So if you are practicing mindfulness and positive thinking with a goal of awesomeness, and you try to then practice that through the day, that is what I think is the optimum. The positive transformations that you try to create, craft yourself to be as awesome as possible. And maybe if you notice yourself being frustrated by things, some Buddhist learning about acceptance or seeing attachments and expectations will be the awesome antidote for that. But perhaps you may find yourself that you want to be more artistically prolific. And perhaps the thing you then need to do is find someone who's an awesome artist and look at their mindset and learn from them. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap that up, that I think you should imagine the best you. And then level up how good you let yourself imagine. Imagine like actually the best you. And start practicing being that person. Whatever it takes to learn that, to cultivate the feelings that become that person, the skills, the mindset. Buddhism's great for releasing some forms of suffering and for having ethics that are considerate of others. Definitely include that in how you train you. But in terms of being an awesome human being that levels up the world and makes the planet better, you have so much creativity and brilliance available to you and within you. I would encourage you to just imagine being your best self and be focused on that with all the mind power, mindfulness, strength, and focus that you can.
That's amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. The author that taught me the most about training my mind was Tom Hopkins with The Official Guide to Success. And the Buddhist author who seemed the most practical and to the point, mindfully empowered, was Jon Kabat-Zinn, reading his book Mindfulness. That was the one that had how to do mindfulness meditation and his version of compassion meditation and his guided lake and mountain meditation. 20 years later, I still include mountain meditations and lake meditations because they were some of the best experiences that I found with the least added dogma or beliefs. I like stuff that would pass in a Western context, that even the most skeptical person can be like, okay, that's just training the brain. And when I've gone and experienced more mystical, far out things that are embedded in dogmas or belief, I try to see how can I shape that in a way that is real for everybody. But yeah, that was a great book, Mindfulness by Jon Kabat-Zinn and The Official Guide to Success by Tom Hopkins. And those two together was amazing for me. It's like superpowers. Let's just check the time. All right. So, thanks, Hello Merc, for the follow-up. And it's great to have you here. And we've got time for maybe one or two more questions or topics of discussion, and then we'll have our closing meditation. So everybody who's here, remember, this session's for you. I want it to be amazing for you. So please take this opportunity to ask about whatever would be helpful for you. And I encourage you to take me up on that challenge. If I say ask whatever would be helpful for you, throw me a curveball. See how I can handle it. So to those of you who just arrived, welcome. We've done a meditation and we've talked about having a good meditation practice that we can improve upon each day and helps us feel good. And we've talked about how we can be careful with how we talk about ourselves and the ideas we feed to our mind. And I've just opened it up to everybody. Does anyone have any questions about life, something you're working on, something that's not going so well for you, and any ways I could suggest that could be helpful? Psyched?
I'm in the process of recovering from multiple addictions, and I think this would be a good way to kind of help me with that. Is there any other suggestions you would have to help overcome those addictions through meditation?
Absolutely. It's a great question. So I also had an unhealthy lifestyle when I first learned about retraining ourselves. And so I used to smoke cigarettes. And the book that I mentioned, The Official Guide to Success, he said, hey, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if you decide that you want to quit, here's a way to do it. And so I wrote on one of my index cards exactly what was in the book, or maybe I tweaked it a little bit, but it was, I'm so glad I quit smoking. I love that I can run up the stairs now and that food tastes great. I don't smell like I've been licking an ashtray anymore. I'm so glad I quit. I can't believe I ever gave money to a company that sells addictive poison. I'm so glad I quit. I feel so great. And I was smoking a pack a day at the time, but I would read it 3 times a day and for a couple of minutes just pretend, yeah, I'm so glad I quit. And then that part of me just grew and grew and took over. A couple of weeks later, I was smoking a lot less. A couple of weeks later, I was just craving here and there. A few weeks later, I was basically quit. And a little while after that, now I'm so glad I quit. They're gross. I feel so healthy. I feel so proud that I've done it. I've totally reprogrammed my brain that, yeah, they're horrible. And I feel awesome, healthy, vibrant, and great. Now, that might sound like it was easy. I did that hundreds of times, 3 times a day, but I made it fun. 3 times a day I got to imagine, I'm so glad I quit, I feel great. So in a sense it was easy. I put in the work in a way that was fun and great, and I let the fun and great take over. I didn't around alcohol. Alcohol was part of the culture that I grew up in. But I noticed on my way to parties, I was doing brain programming and positive thinking, getting myself in a great mood. I'm going to go be amazing. And I'd pump myself up to go and be amazing. And there was one party where I couldn't get my hands on any alcohol. And at the end of the party, I noticed that I was way more awesome than any of the other parties. It's like my own positive intoxication was better than chemical intoxication combined with my own mind. And then I was like, well, I'm just going to keep doing this from now on. When I go to a party, I'll just create my own good vibes. And yeah, people would always come up and be like, man, what are you drinking, or what have you been on? And I just felt so good to say, hey, I've got positivity on tap. I'm creating this. It's awesome. And I could go on with other categories of substances, but I won't. But yeah, similarly, I just kept loving health and positivity and my own power and loving it and just being more pumped up about how awesome I can be. And it wins. The positivity just takes over. It feels so good to be healthy in your body, to feel vibrant, to be able to talk with people, and just have all your creativity and all your kindness and all your engagement fully there. And if you're creating that, that's way more powerful than anything that's like suppressing like inhibitions. You just putting all your brain power into you being amazing, it's just like, it's a whole nother category of fun and ease and joy.
Well, thank you for that perspective.
You're welcome. So I mentioned the technique of like writing out, I'm so glad I've quit. So I hope that that sounds doable to people. Taking this idea, saying it and feeling it and mentally, emotionally rehearsing it. And then I kind of glossed over on my way to parties, I'd do the same thing. So I'd imagine that I'm having loads of fun and that I feel good with people and that I make an entrance that I'm really happy with, and I just love listening to people and I love asking people questions and I've got great stories to tell, and I love telling people that I use positive thinking to feel good because that makes us all feel better. I'm like a good vibe genie, and I just pump myself up with that, like focus on that, say it for 10 minutes on the way to the event. Maybe even half an hour on the way to the event, just to like make myself feel awesome. And so I hope that would be better than any intoxicants in any social circumstances. If there are other places you take them, I would encourage you to do the same thing. Just every day, imagine your best self. It's healthy, it's inspired, it's all your creativity. You can breathe easily. You can feel fully present, fully conscious. Let that idea just feel so beautiful, and practice that idea, that feeling every day. Zaria?
Yeah, I had a question. You mentioned earlier about like reprogramming your mind. So how would you do that if like you're still in an environment that kind of forced you to like have those negative thoughts? So like how do you reprogram while still being in an environment that like caused that
That's a
mindset
great
in the first
question.
place?
So I was still in that environment when I first learned about it. Ultimately, I've moved into environments that are better for me. But to answer the question, before you arrived, I was saying how you can try to turn everything into something positive for you. So if someone is putting out a bad feeling, or they're describing meditation in a way that seems like the brain's out of control, you turn that into, hey, well, I'm choosing to think that I train my mind the way I want. Or if there are people being like, have a smoke, or life sucks, we're all depressed. When you see that happen, you try to turn it around. Be like, okay, I'm choosing that I'm going to create positive feelings, or I'm choosing to be a health champion for these people that I care about. Okay, that's not the awesome answer that I want to give you. Before you arrived, we were talking about mindfulness meditation. So practicing noticing every moment of your mind. So if you walk into that not great environment and you're being mindful and there's like negative pressures, there can be the habit to just kind of go along with it. But if you practice mindfulness, you get to the point where you notice the negative pressures and you kind of just connect with yourself. All right, I'm just going to just stop for a few seconds, find what's really important to me. How do I really want to feel? And you practice more and more coming from that centered, empowered part of you. So yeah, that's one thing I would suggest. Practicing mindfulness meditation, practicing just checking in, being present with yourself as much as possible. Whenever you notice some old emotion or thought or other person takes over your mind, well, stop. I'm coming back where I'm free and I get to choose. Just try to always be in that place where you get to choose. So other people start influencing you, or some emotion or some thought from your own head starts influencing you. Whoa, I'm connecting with this awesome inside of me. And if you just remind yourself of that 100 times a day, you'll be enlightened tomorrow. So, yeah, you just try to do that as much as you can. Then I would also combine that one with what I was saying to Psyched about rehearsing. I was saying, imagine feeling awesome at a party. You could rehearse whatever these bad environments are. How do you want to react? So, without going into the specifics of that environment, I can just say that many different environments I've been in, or people I've coached and worked with have been in, there's stuff going on, and you could come up with an awesome way to react to them. So you set your mind on the idea, I will react awesomely, and you might have some good ideas you can start practicing straight away. But if you just set your mind on that each day, a few days in, you'll be like, oh wow, that's an even better way of reacting. That's an even better way of reacting. Oh wow, I could just totally ignore when they do that and just like find this peace inside of me. Haha, I could make them laugh and level them up like this. Like, you just hold your focus on you being awesome in that situation, and your mind will come up with great ideas and great feelings and great reactions, and you just keep practicing it. If you want to go through specific environments and the things I would react or ways I'd respond to specific situations, I'm happy to do that as well. But I hope that idea of like designing how you want to be in life is something for everybody, whether it's an environment with bad influences or whether it's a decent environment or a great environment. I think we should all be designing how you can be more awesome in the environments you can be in. Zaria,
Okay.
did that sound practical? Is there any clarifying questions you want us to have, or?
No, that was helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. I would love to see you here again, and I'd love to hear how it goes. And I want to emphasize that, like I was saying to Psyched, quitting smoking, like I did it 100 times, but every one of those times I made it fun. So I put in the work, but I made it fun. And I hope you do the same thing. Set your goal on you being awesome in that environment and just keep practicing it 3 times a day, every morning, every afternoon, every time before you go to sleep. Spend a few minutes just imagining you being great and rehearsing how you act, rehearsing how you would have talked, rehearsing how good it would feel, and it will take over and transform you. Emerald, did you have a comment or a question?
Another question, if that's okay.
Sorry, can we move on? Awesome. Yes, Emerald, let's hear it.
So, have you assisted or counseled people trying to learn mindfulness who have some maybe mental health challenges? For example, maybe ADHD or maybe anxiety, depression. Is there some different way of going about it, or it's all the same approach?
People who have those situations, they're not all the same. Every person's an individual. Just because they've been labeled with something, it's not necessarily going to be always the same. So I still like to just treat every person as an individual and find the things that are helpful. Some people, exercise is just really important. If they're depressed and they haven't been getting hot and sweaty 3 times a week for a while, bootstrapping them up to get into that habit can for many just be a wild enough transformation to level up the neurotransmitters to give them the buoyancy they need to be able to think and feel more positively. If someone's got an intense physical anxiety, doing lots of deep physical relaxations, like sports psychologists will do progressive muscle relaxation. They tense up their hand and then they relax it. They tense up their other hand, they tense up their arms, and they train their whole body to let go. So doing a lot of learning how to feel really relaxed in the body can work for many kinds of anxiety. If the anxiety is not so physical, it's just like a mental reaction to some circumstances, it might be really important to look at the belief they have around that circumstance and change the way they think about it. So yeah, there is definitely ways to different skills that will help for different sets of emotions and different circumstances.
Thank you.
I mentioned earlier my regime of like train yourself like a brain ninja. I mean, that's what I'd love for everybody. We all exercised, did brain programming and mindfulness every morning. We fell asleep to hypnosis. We did positive thinking throughout the day. We threw in some relaxation sessions. We did some like positive talking with our friends. If we all did that every day, it would be amazing. Yeah. And you mentioned having a Sangha. So if you or someone you know or care about is going through some of those things, support from people who care about you can be wildly helpful. If someone doesn't feel like meditating, someone else sits with them, like creates this space where you have time for the peace. Or if someone doesn't feel like exercising, if someone's like, hey, let's go for a walk, let's go for a jog, for many people, that will just be like, okay, cool, we can do that together. Or for someone who's like, no, I really don't want to. Someone else who's like, oh, let's find something you like. Maybe you want to throw a frisbee. Maybe you want to go look at some flowers. Like, being that kind of creativity for someone when they don't feel like it. It's simple, but it can be priceless. And I say that because
thank you so much.
I've tried to help lots of people, and many times they're like, "Oh yeah, this is great, this is so helpful, thanks." And then sometimes they're like, "Nah, I just want to sit in this shit." And I still keep trying, but I try to do it as skillfully as I can. I find the way that would be inviting or easy for them. So there's this concept in some lineages of Buddhism of sharing enlightenment through skillful means. You can't just make everybody just sit and breathe on a rock. Some people are going to need a story. Some people are going to need a game. Some people are going to need a meditation on how to forgive their mum. Like, everyone will respond differently to different things. So us as positivity champions, being playful, trying to see people where they really are, and creating the most helpful things we can come up with, that's, for me, a big part of the game of life. And I encourage you to do the same thing for yourself. Some Buddhism will say, do this practice, meditation, and learn this thing. But I think you should be your own coach. Look at yourself. Wow, what would really make me happier or easier? Cool, I'm going to do the things that will make me happier or easier and learn them. Also, come to people who have experience and go to groups where there's people with different perspectives and different skill sets. We can't just all figure it out ourselves, but yeah, we should definitely be our own super coaches and learn from everywhere you can. How was that?
That was great. Yeah, they really opened my eyes to a few things there. Everyone is so different, that's true. And if someone came to me with an approach that was specifically tailored to what I'm going through, I would be so grateful. I would be really appreciative that they took the time to get to know what would work for me.
Most weeks, my family goes to a uplifting poetry and prayer morning, and we have someone from Colombia living with us, and her English is okay, but the poetry's pretty far out. And after we'd been going for a while, one of the families pulled out some Spanish poetry prayer about making the most beautiful world and us all being in tune with the best part of ourselves to make heaven on earth. And it was really nice to see her just like suddenly carried away by the poetry. And afterwards it just hit me how nice it was that during the week he'd taken some time to think about that, gone out of his way to find something that would be beautiful for her. So yeah, being thoughtful for others can be just such a moving, lovely, wonderful thing. Warren, if you're watching, thank you. It was really heart-touching. His name was Warren. Yeah. And if you have people in mind who are going through things, you may want to ask at these sessions if there's any ideas of approaches that could help. Like, you might not have thought that getting hot and sweaty, like intense, raising your heart rate exercise 3 times a week would have been the thing to think of with someone who's depressed. But for many people, that does it. So, but for some it won't. So you can try that. And if it doesn't, maybe they need laughter meditation. Maybe they'd say, fuck you, if you suggested laughter meditation. Maybe they need hugs or a walk in the forest. Or maybe they'd be like, I don't really feel like meditation, laughter meditation, but I'll try it. And then 10 minutes later they're in bliss, and something just clicks inside them, and they're like, whoa, I'm going to just do laughter meditation every day and just swim in this happiness. Awesome. It's just like having a suite of offerings that can help level up their mind or shift their perspective. I mean, that's why I do these sessions. I want to help all of us have a broader tool chest. All right. Any last questions or comments? Anything to wrap that up? And then we're going to do our closing meditation.
Just the comment about sorry. The comment about neurotransmitters. A lot of people don't understand that or realize what goes on when you exercise. I totally agree. Exercise can bring you out of depression. It can change your mood entirely. And the fact that you use that daily to get you started, I think is really important. So I totally agree with that.
Thanks. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, so where exactly do you draw the line when it comes to positive thoughts? Because there's a thing as toxic positivity as well, and so I think just in my opinion, at times we kind of need to feel those feelings, if we feel sad or angry or depressed, so that we don't suppress it, right? So we gotta have some type of outlet, release it. So how do you where do you draw the boundary?
That's a great question to throw that out right before meditation. But no, I'm gonna give that all of the focus that it deserves. So I would never encourage somebody to suppress sadness. I would never use those words or that idea. What I do encourage is people learn to watch their mind very closely. And when you have practiced watching every little moment of your awareness, and you start to see a feeling, thought arise that's rare, if you look really closely at it, you can often look at it with love, or you can just let it go and actually let it go. Or you can see, oh, that's happening because I'm expecting that person to do something, but my mind's not in reality, that person's something else. So we can actually train our mind to be free from suffering. The term toxic positivity, I'm not sure who you're reading that uses that. I've seen it in a few different contexts. And yeah, I've definitely seen people who just try to paste positivity over all their angst and anger. And that's not what I'd suggest. I suggest we actually go and really transform and gently, powerfully make ourselves empowered and enlightened. I often say that, for me, I'm not here as a Buddhist, but one of the promises in Buddhism, the very thing it starts with, is that shit happens in life, but there's always a reason we get upset by things. Things don't actually have to hurt us. And if you learn how to, you can actually stop all the hurting. And that might sound lofty, but if you actually set yourself on practicing and learning that, it's definitely doable. So, to your question, where is the line? The line for me is if you are just pretending things are okay, but still brewing on negativity on the inside. We should wholeheartedly embrace kindness, carefulness in our mind, understanding and patience with others.
Thank you. That was helpful.
You're welcome. think now it's time for us to begin our closing meditation. So I invite everybody to just jiggle a little bit, stretch your shoulders, stretch your arms. Take a few deep breaths, stretch a little more, stretch a little harder. Feel the blood flowing through your body and invigorating yourself. And then let your body come to rest. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. We're just going to start by watching our awareness very closely. And we're going to use our breath as the anchor. So as you breathe in, really hear and feel the breath coming in. In terms of where your mind is, I want you to put your mind into your nostrils. Feel where you can feel the air flowing over the breath, where you feel the air blowing over the hairs in the nostrils. You can feel the air rolling across the skin inside the nose. Try to look so closely that you see every moment. You see when the breath is filled up, when it slows down, when it stops, when it changes direction. You see it accelerate. You follow every moment as it all comes out, as they empty the lungs. You feel the flow changing direction. Some people claim that through breathing meditation, complete freedom and enlightenment is available. So I invite you to watch each moment of the breath, fascinated, excited. If you notice some part of your mind thinking any words, emphasize hearing the breath in and out more. So the sound of your breath catches your attention, filling your whole consciousness in hearing the breath and feeling the breath. Let your attention rest for a moment and just notice your body and let your body relax. And then decide for your body to be still. And then imagine your mind relaxing, being still. And then we take our attention back into feeling the breath. All of your attention, feeling each moment of the breath, hearing each moment of the breath. Watch your mind really closely. Each moment, try to be in more stillness. Try to bring even more concentration into each moment of the breathing. If you notice any activity in your consciousness, just let it go. Just for now, you let everything go. Just breathing. Just being present in the moment. Just you and your consciousness. Just let it all go. Imagine if the breath was all that existed. The whole universe was just your breath. Not even any thoughts. Just your breath. If your awareness goes anywhere else, come back to the breath even more powerfully. If you're thinking things, hear your breath more. If you're feeling physical sensations, feel your breath more. If your mind wanders somewhere else, come back into that spot in the nostrils. If your mind goes into the past or the future, come back into right now. Right now, in your nostrils, hear the breath, feel the breath. Then you can let the attention rest. As we move into the next chapter of the meditation, just notice what you learned about how you guide your attention. Remember the moments of peacefulness, what it felt like to rest in the breathing. And then take a couple of minutes just to imagine throughout your day, remembering to be aware as you breathe. Imagine what it would feel like if throughout the day you remembered to connect to this peace and freedom inside you. So that was a few minutes of breathing meditation. So if you like, perhaps you'd like to commit to yourself that every day you'll give yourself those few minutes to fully be in the breath. To practice watching your awareness, connecting to that presence, learning how to completely be conscious, in charge of your awareness. So just to remind ourselves of some of the things from this evening, that having a practice that we commit to and that we improve each day can lead to amazing results. Giving yourself good ideas, like that positive ideas stay in your thoughts and feelings, that your creativity is inspired whenever it sees a good example and you imagine yourself like that. That the way that you think about meditation becomes more empowering every day. That we make ourselves feel good. We love being healthy and vibrant, and we can create great feelings, and that's exciting in itself that you can do that. And that makes you want to create even more positivity and fun and ease and peace. That you can create an amazing version of you that's healthy, that's empowered, that's at ease. That your practice isn't just about meditation. It's about making you great. It's about making life great. Learn the things that will make you more awesome. Do the things you love. Learn the skills that will level up your life or make the world better. Sorry, I wanted to clarify another thing around where's the line. If someone's not treating you well, I wouldn't want someone to just laugh it off. I would want someone internally to be invincible. I'm so strong and unaffected. And at the same time, to be assertive. What's an awesome way I can talk to that person so that they'll hear me, and then I can make things better, and then everybody's better off. And if a situation ultimately isn't good for me, how can I change it? How can I change what's going on here, or how can I go somewhere else? I definitely want people making their lives great and making how people treat them great. And at the same time, I also want every one of us to be invincible and powerful inside ourselves. So whatever's happening, you still have this peace and power in yourself. We can do both.
That was really good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We often finish here with a dedication. So I'm going to just give a little dedication, and then we're going to make our way out to the field for the social part of the evening. Anyone out there on the live stream, please come join us in VR and hang out with us. It's amazing to be here. It's a pleasure to have you here on the stream. It'd be great to be able to give you a hug or a virtual high five. So let's just begin with our dedication. I just want you to remember whatever you learned tonight that was good for you. Take a few breaths and imagine that you practiced it like powerfully every day and got excited about it. Imagine you're looking back in a few months and you've totally internalized this tool or this different way of being. You're healthy, you're happy, you're fit, you're comfortable. You've mastered those environments that were negative before. You have a deep peace that you've learned. You've got an inner joy that's just bubbling away. Just breathe into your awesome self. And just by envisaging it right now, you're making it happen a bit. the more powerfully you envisage it, the more you're making it happen. And the more you practice it every day, give it the attention it deserves, the more awesome it will be there. So let's just dedicate ourselves. Hey, I want you to be amazing. I want the people around you to see your best you. Give yourself that gift. Dedicate yourself to it. And so, as we leave the temple, when you have the moment with the enlightened being at the back, I want you to find or imagine the part of you that is infinite peace, that is pure awareness, that snaps out of all social conditioning and gets to choose whatever you want to be. And as you have that moment just looking at that enlightened being, find that enlightened being inside yourself, and perhaps dedicate to give that part of you the attention that it deserves every day.